All right, Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. All right, this your brother Obadiah with the hopeful elect. And I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God in the name of his only begotten Son. Shout out to the sister Mary of Bethany that anointed our King with the precious ointments before his burial. And also shout out to our ancestors that chose death before dishonor. And it's kind of gonna be a part two to the lesson I made yesterday going into you can't escape persecution. And Lord willing, this be a helpful video for brothers and sisters that's trying their best to keep the Shabbat or the Sabbath day, because we are big advocates for the Sabbath. There's one thing that we go hard for. This is a thing that we believe that we can also keep blameless in captivity. This is something that that we push to keep because we see certain scriptures I'm gonna pull up that our ancestors, even though they were in captivity, even though they really didn't have a government and they was at the bottom of society, they still kept these commandments, right? They still kept the Sabbath day holy. They was willing to die rather than to pollute the Sabbath day. So we have the mindset of our ancestors to think the same way they thought about the Sabbath day and the commandments. You have to lose some stuff for it. Okay. You may have to die for it. Okay, cool. But I want to keep this thing holy, like the Most High God told me to keep holy. And it's set up. A lot of people didn't know that it's set up in the Civil Rights Act, right? In America's Constitution, 1964, Title 7, the Sabbath, or the Civil Rights Act 1964, the Title 7. It goes into how we have a religious belief in this country, right? You have some type of freedom in this country to practice your beliefs, because I know a lot of people don't know about this. Some people may know about it, but they choose not to use it, right? They'd rather, instead of going through all of this work, they'd rather just work on the Sabbath day because it's easier, right? It's easier, and then it's always an excuse. Well, I got to provide for my family. The Lord don't want me to be jobless, or we in captivity. We have to obey what they say. But let's get this. Let me get this scripture real quick. And I got a couple scriptures I'm gonna pull. I might pull some before, and I might wait to pull some after the what I'm getting into about the 1964 document. I might wait to pull some scriptures after as well too. But this Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 15 and verse 20 in the Apocrypha, it says, he hath commanded no man to do wickedly, neither have he given any man license to sin. So pay attention to this part right here. Neither hath he given any man license to sin. So I know people like to say, well, you got to do what you got to do. And, we in captivity. They not letting you do it, or they making you have to come in. We know that's a sin, right? We know that's a sin. The Most High say he haven't given any man license to sin. So we can't come up with excuses on why we're not doing something. Because the Most High said he not giving no man, woman, or child license to sin. And a lot of times we don't act like that towards any other sin that we know is sin. Anytime we notice that something else is a sin, we cut it off, right? We find out Easter pagan, Christmas pagan, we cut that off, right? We found out that you couldn't shave your beard off. You start shaving your beard off, right? You find out you couldn't eat pork, shrimp, lobster. You cut that off, right? So why, when it comes to the Sabbath day and we know that it's a sin to work on the Sabbath, we tend to, come up with excuses and continue to do that. No, if you know something is a sin, you got to stop doing it. You can't keep doing it and you know it's a sin and just repent afterwards. You know it's a sin and you ask for grace and you keep repenting afterwards, because that makes us no difference. That makes us no different than the modern day Christian church. When they sin and they know something is a sin, all what they do, just ask for mercy and grace. Just ask for grace, right? Repent, and they do it again. So when you constantly repenting and ask for grace that you breaking the Sabbath day for your job, and you continue to do it next week, and then the next week come you doing it again, what makes you different than the average Christian that do that when they know something is a sin? They repent and they do it over again. No, we have to find a solution. And working on the Sabbath, that shouldn't even be a thought, right? That shouldn't even be something to even think about. Like, nah, that's something we can't do. But when you this is something that the Most High God this is something that the Most High God has set up, because even throughout the Bible, the whole Bible, bro, majority of the history, Israel was in captivity. This ain't our first captivity. We've been in captivity all throughout the Bible. Majority of the times we was in captivity when you read about in the scriptures. But yet the laws of the Most High God was still set up and established. But yet we see the Most High God give us examples in the scriptures on how to respond in captivity when somebody has you try to go against your God and your commandments. We have righteous ancestors that you can read about in the scriptures. And I'm gonna pull some scriptures in Maccabees, right? People don't know about the book of First and Second Maccabees, also in the Apocrypha, going into the Greek captivity. How a lot of our ancestors, how they responded when you read about the three holy boys, Hebrew boys, they were thrown into the fire. Why? Because they didn't want to sin. They didn't want to bow down and worship an idol because they knew it was a sin. So a lot of our people chose the punishment, right, instead of breaking God's laws. But in today's time, we'll rather break God's laws to escape the punishment that we may receive. In this case, that would be losing our job, not getting paid like we used to, hours getting cut short, losing your house, losing your car. A lot of people would they don't want to go through that stuff, even though our ancestors before us went through way worse. A lot of our people now don't want to go through those things, so they'll compromise and be like, well, okay, all right, I gotta work on the Sabbath, man. I gotta do it. I gotta provide for my household. We need this money. If I don't work this job, we're gonna go homeless. So I gotta work it. You think our ancestors had that type of mindset? No, we know the righteous ones didn't, because we read in the scriptures what happened to the ones that was zealous for the law, right? We know what happened to the ones that was zealous for the law. They was put to death. They rather lost their life. And you can't say we was in different times. You have some people say, well, that was different times though. Brother, you can't bring that up comparing that time, this time. Those completely different times. But that makes it even worse. Yes, those was different times, but it was worse back then. And if people was dying and wasn't willing to compromise when their kids was getting put to death in front of them. But now we ain't going through none of that stuff right now. But yet our people willing to go against one of the most holy and sacred days? That don't make any sense to me. But this is something y'all can look this up, man. Y'all can look into this this act, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And this is like I said, this is in a constitution, man, right? It says Title 7 of the Civil Rights Acts of 1964 prohibits employment discrimination based on religion, including religious practices and observances such as the Sabbath. So this is in a constitution, man. Like I said, and the Most High did this for a reason, right? The Most High did this for a reason because He knew it was gonna come a time where we was gonna be in captivity, and this is like a loophole. This is a loophole for us to be able to keep His commandments and His Sabbath days while in captivity. There ain't nothing but the Spirit of the Lord that put that on these people's spirit to put this down. Like, you gotta think, they ain't really know nothing about no Sabbath, right? And the religious beliefs and stuff. The Most High had them put that on their spirit for us. And this was in 1964. They ain't know nothing about no Israelites. Or they could have meant this to be for the Jewish people, to respect the Jewish people, but then they didn't think, well, they was gonna wake up and they can use this against us too because they keep the Sabbath day. So it's used to our benefit. It says it also requires employees reasonably accommodate sincerely held religious beliefs, unless doing so would cause an undue hardship on the employer. This means employers must make adjustments to the work environment to allow an employee to practice their religion such as providing time off for Sabbath observance. So they have to respect what you believe, man. Especially when you already got the job. They gotta respect this. This any religious belief. They gotta respect Islam, right? You can come in there and tell them that your religion is worshiping a tree. You worshiping a tree at this time of hour. They gotta respect that. Why? Because this is in the Civil Rights Act. This is in their Civil Rights Act in Title VII, that they gotta respect beliefs, and they gotta adjust by what you say. They gotta adjust according to you, right? Because in a sense, in this aspect right here, they gotta do what you say, because they can't discriminate. They can't discriminate what you saying. If you say you got to keep the Sabbath day and you can't come work on Saturdays, they can't. They can't be like, no, you got to come in. Or we hear you, but we don't care nothing about that. They can't do that, man. Because that can be a lawsuit. You can literally, if you really want to, if you really wanted to, you can take them to court, and sue them for that. But I know some people really don't want to go that route. They're just if they want to fire them for not coming in on the Sabbath, they're just okay. They'll just get fired and find another job, which is nothing wrong with that. It all is your choice. But working on the Sabbath day is not a choice. That's not even in the picture. You can choose to just let them fire you, but if you really want this job, and if you really, if it make you feel some type of way, and you know your beliefs, you can go further with this. Especially if you got evidence and proof that these people said, um had, or was basically treating you different because of your beliefs, and talking to you funny because of your beliefs. They was mocking you at the job site, making fun of your beliefs. Or they said that you had to come in to work on the days that you had to rest on according to your belief. You can take them to court for that if you really wanted to. This why I'm breaking this up, man, and get some money off the, like, I ain't talking about no little money off that. But it says um down here, elaboration, right? Title VII explicitly states that it is unlawful to discriminate against an individual based on their religion. This includes any aspect of employment, such as hiring, right? So even when it comes to hiring, right? And I know, you tell people up front that you can't work on the Sabbath, or you have days you need off. They might not tell you that that's why they're not hiring you, but they might not hire you because of that. So you really can't tell them. But if you tell them, if they be like, well, I'm not hiring you because of this, because of your Sabbath. No, I can't hire you because you an Israelite. I can't hire you because you gotta wear a head wrap or a dress. And nah, that's a different story. Right. And even then, I know some people let them know ahead of time, right? Some people let the bosses know ahead of time, or the people that they're trying to work for, that they need to be off on these days. And it's good to email them. It's good to email them and give them a printed out paper of the days you need it off, and have proof that they responded and said, okay, we agree to this. Make them have proof. Now you got to have some type of proof, because they can say anything. They can say anything. Oh, I didn't know, he didn't tell me. But if you got proof, you sent them the email, or of the days you need off, and you making them sign a signature and things, then it's in your hands. You got to be wise, and it all goes back to the Most High. It all goes back to the Most High God. You have to trust that the Most High God gonna be on your side. You got to trust that, because whether you give them the days you need off in the beginning, or rather you wait till you get hired, then give them the days off, trying to make it secure. Like, okay, you can't fire me because of this. I got the job already. He told me I got it. Now I'm finna give you the days. Either way you do it, because they may still hire you even though you gave them the days, right? Beforehand. You gave them the days beforehand that you need off. They already know what they getting themselves into, and they still hire you. So they may not see those days you need and not hire you. They can still hire you, man, of the Spirit of the Lord. The Lord can do anything. Don't put the Lord in a box. But just know they can't discriminate you from such as hiring and firing. They can't fire you because of your beliefs. Like, a lot of these jobs try to threaten our people. And the reason why they threaten our people in this truth, because they feel like our people don't know this. Or they feel like all I got to do is tell them that I'm going to fire them, or they going to have to go and they going to work on their Sabbath day. I remember I was talking to my, I was talking to my granddad. He was like, man, because I keep the Sabbath, man. And he was like, what? You know what? Don't you know? I was working at this job when I was young, and you had some Israelites coming in talking about they keeping the Sabbath day, and they boss said if they don't come in on Saturday, they gonna get fired. And he was like, you know what they did? I said, what? He said they came in on Saturday and worked. And I'm like, that's not the mind. But the bosses do that because they feel like, no, we don't know our rights. They feel like we don't know these things. But when you go in there and you confident and you know and you go in there and you be like, you can't fire me because of this, and you pull up the Civil Rights Act, and it's like they gonna be like, oh shoot. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they call you in the office. If they call you in the office trying to fire you because they saying, well, we know this your religion, but we gotta let you go. If you record him saying that, have this type of proof that he firing you because of that, it's gonna backfire on them. It's gonna backfire on them. So you have people, when the bosses tell them that you gotta come in on the Sabbath day and work, a lot of our people just be like, okay, I'll do it, and they'll go in, and they don't go in demanding, right? And when I say demanding, I'm not meaning in a disrespectful way, and you go in there just no, but you got to go in and let them know I can't do this, right? I'm not working on the Shabbat. A lot of times our people go in and ask, can I get off on Saturday? Instead of saying I can't work on Saturday, they be like, can I get off on Saturday? I don't think I'm gonna be able to work on Saturday. And then the boss, the dude, can tell the difference on if a person's serious or not, and how he can maneuver. If a person going in with a straight face and saying I can't do this is my religious beliefs, and showing them in the Bible that they believe this, I can't do it because of this, and you bringing up the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and telling them you can't fire me because of this, it goes against the Civil Rights Act, they'll be like, oh, he's serious. So, I don't want to go to court, because a lot of times they don't want to go to court for real about this. So a lot of times they'll let you keep your job, and they'll work with you, right? What days you need off, right? You say you can't work Saturday, but can you come in on Sunday instead? They'll work with you, man. A lot of jobs work with you, but a lot of our people, I'm gonna pull the scriptures. A lot of our people don't truly have the faith in the Most High. It's fear. It's fear of losing a job. It's fear of losing a job, and that's the mindset. That's what people be thinking. It's the fear part. I don't want to lose my job, so I have to go in. Even though you see history of our ancestors losing a life for this. He said, going back down, hiring, firing, pay, job assignments, promotions, layoffs, training, and fringe benefits. So they can't discriminate against your religious beliefs, period. They can't. So another, right? Religious accommodation. It says a religious accommodation is a modification or adjustment to a work environment or schedule that allows an employee to practice their religion without causing undue hardship to the employer. This might involve changes to work schedules. So, like I said, they gotta go by what you saying, man. If you saying that you can't, this schedule don't work for you, that they gave you because it's not gonna align with your religious beliefs, they have to change that schedule for you for it to fit your religious belief. Your dress code, if you're a woman and you don't wear pants, and you tell them that you don't want to wear pants at your job site, you wear dresses because that's your religious beliefs, they gotta respect that. Or if you wear a head wrap at your job site, they have to respect that. They can't be like, no, and they mock you about it, or they disregard what you say. Because like I said, if you truly want to, you can go to court. Especially, you're going to have some witnesses. You're going to have some people that's going to be seeing how you getting treated. So it said, or other aspects of the job to accommodate religious beliefs or practices. Now check this out. It says a religious accommodation is an adjustment to the workplace that allows an employee to practice their religion. So the work, they gotta allow you to practice your religion at the job site. If it's a time when the hour of prayer come, you got to go pray, and you might want to leave out the job, out the warehouse or wherever you work at, and go outside to pray. They gotta allow you to do that. If you pull out a mat and pray, they gotta allow you to do that. It says this could involve things like allowing time off for religious holidays. And what the Bible, don't we need time off for our so-called religious holidays in the Bible? Didn't the Most High God command us to have certain days off in the Bible? Yes. So can be used for that, to get took off, providing a place to pray. Like I said, if you need somewhere to pray, they got to provide a place for you to pray. Just like in jail, right? You got the Nation of Islam. You have some brothers at the Nation of Islam in jail. When it's they hour of prayer to pray, they let them go out our brother had told me, because he was working at a jail, right? They let you go out. They let the Muslims go out at the yard, and they get their mats and they all pray at a certain time. Why? Because they gotta respect their beliefs. But they do that with Muslims, right? When Ramadan come, these jobs know not to tell these Muslims, nah, you can't do that. They know about that. They know if a Muslim woman wanna I forgot the thing, that the lavelle over her face when she at work. They gotta let her wear that. They know if they say something to her about that she may get offended and she gonna cause hell. But when it comes to us, right, they think we don't know, right? They think we just black people and we just gonna do what they say. We don't know no better. They treat every other religion different. But when it comes to us, they don't respect us. Why? Because a lot of us is scared to push them to the limit. If they seen that more Israelites push them to the limit about keeping the Sabbath day, they will respect us, and they will already know not to try us when it came to us working on that day. They will already know that, because they know, they don't play about that. But they see that a lot of us work on that day, even though they say they can't. They don't take us serious, because we don't even take it serious. A lot of us. And it says, let me read this again. It says, a religious accommodation is an adjustment to the workplace that allows an employee to practice their religion. So they got to adjust for you, for your beliefs. This could involve things like allowing time off for religious holidays. So they got to allow you to take off for Passover. They got to allow you to take off if you want to take off for Feast of Dedication, if you want to take off for Purim, any of your days, right? They got the new moons, the Sabbath days, first and last day of Tabernacles. They gotta allow you to take off for your religious holiday. They got to. If they don't, they're going against the Civil Rights Act, and that can be, like I said, if you wanted to, you could take them to court for that, because they can't do that according to what they written down. It says this could involve things like allowing time off for religious holidays, providing a place to pray, or allowing for religious attire. So if you want to wear your tassels, if you want to wear your fringes to work, they gotta allow you to do that, because that's part of your religious attire. If you want to wear your head wrap, sis, if you want to wear your dress, they gotta allow you to do that, because that's part of your religious attire. They can't go against that. Boom. There's some more things they gotta allow. Schedule changes. An employee might need to adjust their work schedule to accommodate religious observances like prayer or holidays. That's like I was saying earlier. If you need your schedule changed to fit to fit the commandments that the Most High gave us, you got the right to go tell them that, and they got to do that. Like prayer or holidays. If you need to pray, right? If you need to pray, a certain time. You just say you pray every hour. They gotta respect that and allow you to leave or wherever you need to go pray in peace every hour. They gotta do that. Dress code adjustments. Employees might need to wear specific attire for religious reasons, just like Islam. A lot of they women wear dresses and head wraps and things like that. A lot of they men wear those robes. They gotta allow them to do that. Even if the attire for the job site is they want pants to wear, women men to wear pants, and they hire you, especially they already know what you believe and they still hire you, and you be like, nah, I'm not, that's not my attire. They can't discriminate against you and be like, nah, well, you got to do it. They can't do that, man. And like I said, the Most High God got this set up, so we can't have no excuses. Nobody can't say in that day on Judgment Day that, well, I had, first and foremost, they don't make you do nothing. When people say, well, they make you come in, no, they don't. They don't put a gun in your head and tell you to come in and work. Right? They're not forcing you to come in. That's a choice. You're making that choice to break the Sabbath day. But the Most High God got this set up. So in that day on Judgment Day, when a whole bunch of people try to come in and try to make an excuse on why they didn't keep the Sabbath, the Lord gonna have this, show them this, and He also gonna tell how He gonna be like, well, did you pray? Right? Did you pray that you could find a job that didn't keep the Sabbath? Did you trust in me, or was you fearful? So the Most High God he gonna shock a lot of people, because a lot of people think it's okay to do this because we're under mercy and grace and we in captivity, but that's not the case though. Right? The Most High God, He may bring up accounts where, in Maccabees, they did this, right? They didn't break it. They didn't sin against me. They were willing to lose their life. Why weren't you able to do that? What can you truly say to these things when the Most High God actually put us to the test, and He actually start questioning us about why you didn't keep my Sabbath holy? Right? Why you didn't? I said it. I said I didn't give no man license to sin. And you know it was a sin to do it. Why did you keep doing it? If you didn't want to take them to court, why you didn't find another job? Why did you settle down to get comfortable with breaking the Sabbath day every single week, every single weekend? Got comfortable. We can't get comfortable with sinning because it is a sin. Breaking the Sabbath day is a sin. Whether you want to admit it or not, whether you saying, well, we don't got no choice, it's a sin. So we can't come up with excuses on why we keep sinning. The Lord don't want to hear excuses on why we keep sinning. He want to see change in our life. He want to see you change from doing that. It said time off. Employees may need time off for religious holidays or observances. So you get time or whatever days you need off, they gotta respect that, man. It don't matter how many days you need off. For religious beliefs, they gotta respect that. And if anybody need a letter typed up to their job, I'm gonna put our email in the comments, bro. We ain't charging, but we'll write you a great letter. We'll type it out. Professional, right? We'll type it out. Write a letter for the Sabbath day to give to your boss, a Sabbath exemption form, and also a high holy day exemption form. And we'll make it official, showing that you serious. And you can just give it to him, let him sign it, or let her sign it. Whoever your boss, let him sign it. This how serious we is, man. We'll do this for y'all, man. Free. This how serious we is about our people keeping the commandments, man. We very serious, especially about the Sabbath day. One of the main reasons we in this captivity, and we kept going through captivity, because our people kept polluting the Sabbath day. And I'm gonna get a scripture that prove that. Our people kept polluting the Sabbath day, and they probably had the same excuses that they have now back then. Well, we in captivity. We can't keep it. So we gotta work. We gotta provide. They had that same excuse back then, but the Lord look at that as polluting my Sabbath day, because you have certain jobs out here that don't mind you getting off on these days. You have certain jobs, they won't even bug you about it. You tell them, they won't even bug you about it. Okay, that's cool. Okay, just let me know the days you need off. That's cool. But a lot of people don't be patient enough to look for these jobs out here. They just take the job that come their way that may be paying good. They look at the pay and see it's paying good, and they take that job even though they have to work on the Sabbath. They take that job. That's you worshiping man. A lot of people worship their boss, man. And I said that in the first video. I'm gonna say it again. A lot of people worship their boss. A lot of people worship their job, because when you go to your boss and tell him you can't work on the Sabbath because it's against your religion, and your boss tell you still gotta work on the Sabbath day, you got a choice. Am I gonna do what my boss say, or I'm gonna do what God say? And a lot of people do what they boss say and be like, okay, master, I come in and work. That's you serving your boss, because your boss just had you sin willingly. You know it was a sin. He had you, or she had you sin against your God. And that's how it be going on a lot of times, man. So let me get a couple of scriptures, man. Let me get a couple of scriptures. Um let's get a couple of scriptures. Ezekiel. Uh he said, let me get Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 10 through 13. He said, wherefore I caused them to go forth out of the land of Egypt, and brought them into the wilderness. And I gave them my statutes, and showed them my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. So we in the wilderness. We ain't even in captivity no more. We left out of Egypt. He said, moreover, I gave them my Sabbaths. So that's plural. So he's not even just talking about the 7-day Sabbath, or the 7-day Sabbath. You know, it's other days in the Bible that's considered Sabbaths as well too. He said more. He said more. Also, I gave them my. He said in more verse 12. Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctified them. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. In my Sabbaths, they greatly polluted. So they was doing whatever they wanted to do on the Sabbath day. They was working, buying, selling. They were worshiping idols, all type of stuff. That's how you polluting the Sabbath day, is going against what the law said on how to keep it. They were polluting it. So you had people working back then on the Sabbath day. It say, then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them. So that just shows how angry the Most High gets, when we pollute his Sabbath day. And that don't make, the Sabbath day was made for us to be set apart than everybody else. Holy, set apart. But when you work on the Sabbath day, are you truly being holy and set apart? You looking like everybody else. This day was for us to have rest and peace. You got 6 days to do whatever you got to do. The 7th day was the day of rest. And you have people profane it and come up with excuses on why they profaning it. This is why we in this situation now. People don't find delight in the Sabbath. People don't want to keep the Sabbath for real. This the fear of losing their job. This is why one reason why we in captivity right now, man. We got to change that. We got to change that and start keeping the Sabbaths holy. Let me get this scripture. We're going to get Exodus chapter 31. Exodus chapter 31 and verse 14. And we'll stop at 18. It says, ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. So this is the sin of polluting or defiling the Lord's Sabbath day. The Lord's judgments don't change, man. What the scripture say? Sin is the transgression of the law. Especially if you willingly know something, it's in your control to change, and you just sitting there and doing it. He said, ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defile it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever does any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. You don't think the Most High knew that we was going to be going through captivities when he wrote this down, when he had Moses appear this to us? The Most High knew that we was going to be in captivity majority of our lives, but he still wrote this down. Why? Because he still expects us to do it. He still expects us to keep it, not don't keep it because we're in captivity. That shouldn't be an excuse where we not. That should make us want to do it more. If your job telling you to come in on the Sabbath day and we be like, well, we in captivity, we got to do it. That should make you not want to do it more because he's stopping you from serving your God. That should make you be like, no, I'm not doing that even more. But a lot of people, they make them break it because we in captivity or we got to do it. No, the scripture said we got to stand boldly, man, against anything that goes against our God. Who's going to stand up for our God in these days? Who's going to stand up for the Sabbath? Right? Who is going to stand up boldly for the Lord's Sabbath day? I'm gonna come back to this, but I want to pull something. I want to pull. Let me play this lesson for y'all. Let me play this video for y'all. Cause this is a basketball team that knew about the Sabbath day, right? It's a basketball team that knew about the Sabbath day, and I'm gonna play two videos. This is a basketball team that knew about the Sabbath day, and they were fighting. This is how we got to be. Sometimes you may gotta fight for your rights. You can't just give in. If they doing this for basketball, how much more doing this for something else bigger than just sports for the Most High God? But fair use just for educational purposes only.
Alabama high school basketball team choosing faith over a state playoff game this past weekend.
Now, coaches and players at Oakwood Adventist Academy in Huntsville say it's against their religion to play between sundown Friday and sundown Saturday. That's their Sabbath. And the AHSAA wouldn't let them reschedule that game, instead calling it a forfeit.
Our Shelby Myers working this story tonight. Shelby, the governor is now getting involved.
Yeah, she is, and she's hot, guys. Upset and confused why the AHSAA wouldn't accommodate the team's religious beliefs, sending them a letter demanding some change.
Forced to forfeit, the Oakwood Adventist Academy High School varsity boys basketball team choosing faith over finals. The Huntsville team was scheduled to play.
And that's that mindset that that's the mindset that a lot of our ancestors in the Maccabees had. Right? They was choosing faith over anything else. This is a basketball team that had a shot, I think, at the state playoffs, if I ain't mistaken. But I think they had to forfeit because they didn't want to break the Sabbath day. So ain't no difference with our ancestors. And it's crazy because all so-called black. So that's, that's our people, man. And it's crazy because that's the same spirit that the Maccabees had. They wasn't trying to break the Sabbath day, but they rather died, though, instead of polluting it. And these brothers right here, they rather forfeit it than to break the Sabbath day.
Saturday at 4:30. The problem, tip-off was during their Sabbath, or time of rest, which is sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. The team was forced by the AHSAA to forfeit since they wouldn't play at their scheduled time.
When God created the earth, on the seventh day he rested. He calls us to rest on that day and give that day to him.
Team captain and senior Raynon Andrews says it's a hard reality for his team that's made it further in the playoffs than any team in the school's history.
So this is not no small matter. They made it further in the playoffs than any other team in school history. You know how big this would have been for them? You know how big this was for them, this moment, to go farther and probably win the championship? But they chose to not even go and forfeit because of God's commandments? Come on, man. These are kids. These are high schoolers doing this. You got some adults don't even do this. They don't even think like this.
The Mustangs even tried reaching out to Decatur Heritage to see if they would switch game times, and the team agreed. But the State High School Athletic Association denied the request, saying, quote, all games at each regional are expected to be played as scheduled. Governor Ivey catching word of the AHSAA's stance, calling the treatment of the Oakwood basketball team disturbing and concerning in a letter she wrote to them. She also added, quote, "I hope you will respond promptly as well so that the AHSAA's views may be appropriately represented as reforms are considered in the coming days and weeks." Governor Ivey also reaching out to the boys basketball team in solidarity, saying in a letter, quote, "The idea that a team like Oakwood could be denied a chance to compete based on its faith without even the most modest of accommodations is deeply concerning." In a last major show of sportsmanship, the Mustangs headed to the semifinals anyway, supporting the team who had agreed to support their beliefs.
And I really appreciate how Decatur Heritage, they showed their love towards us. After the game, they came and dapped us up, and before the warm-ups, they pointed to us saying basically they're proud of us, and we took our stand.
Now, we just learned that the AHSAA has responded to Governor Ivey's letter tonight. Executive Director Alvin Briggs sent the governor a letter saying in part that they had concerns when Oakwood became a full member in 2017 because many championship events are played on Fridays and Saturdays. However, Briggs says the school agreed to follow the rules and participate in all playoff games without petition or forfeit.
Okay, finally scheduled the tournament. It's this Saturday. Our game starts at 9 a.m. We'll scrimmage again at our next practice. Then we should be ready to play.
With Kevin Speed, we actually have a chance to beat the Roundabout Kids Club for the first time ever.
And they are serious this year. Look at this text I got for their team captain.
That's nice.
Coach Tuttle, I actually can't come to the tournament because Saturday is a religious holiday for me.
What?
Oh, okay. Of course, Kevin. No worries. You know what? I'm actually going to call one sec, guys. Tunnel's Food Pop Cafe. This is Eugene. We can't be out of French vanilla. Be right back. It's a pre-emergency.
Saturday isn't a holiday for me, and I should know because I meticulously track every day I get presents.
Yeah, Kevin. It's not like the game is on Christmas.
I don't celebrate Christmas. I don't want to let the team down, but my religious service is at the same time as the game.
Can't you skip it just this once?
This is important to my family's beliefs. Besides,
And that's what a lot of these jobs say. They were a lot of them jobs say at work, can you just come in this Saturday? Just one time. You don't have to do it no more. And basically what he's saying is, can you break God's commandments? Can you sin just one time? Don't that sound like Satan? Don't those smooth words sound like Satan? Can you just come in? We know you don't work on Saturdays, but can you just come in every other Saturday? Just every other Saturday. You have to come in. You don't have to sin every Saturday. Just sin every other Saturday. That's basically what he said. That's basically what a lot of these bosses be saying, man. That's what the little boy said in his video. Can you just break it just one time? And that just be a test. That just be a test to see how bold we is with our faith.
celebrate Christmas. I don't want to let the team down, but my religious service is at the same time as the game.
Can't you skip it just this once?
This is important to my family's beliefs. Besides, we just found out about this tournament. This holiday happens the same day every year. Fine, Kevin. Skip the game if you want, but there will be consequences. Like what? You're going to choose your...
Don't they say that? The boss, hey, skip it, skip. Don't come in on Saturday if you want to. It's going to be a consequence. Right? You're going to lose your job.
religion over our team. We'll kick you out. All in
You choosing,
Fine.
you're choosing religion over this job? We'll kick you out.
And then skip the game if you want, but there will be consequences. Like what? You're going to choose your religion over our team. We'll kick you out. All in favor?
Remember, keep the Sabbath day holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. Exodus 20 verses 8 to 10. It's a day of rest set apart for reconnecting with God and finding peace in His presence. Keeping the Sabbath reminds us of the importance of rest and the holiness of time. So, rest, reflect, and reconnect with the Most High.
Come on, man. So the Sabbath is very, very important, right? So when you go back to verse 14, he said, "Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is a holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever does any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever does any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death." So that's a sin worthy of death, man. You had some sin that wasn't worthy of death, but the Sabbath day breaking that, and we read about that, I think Numbers 15, when the dude was gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. The Lord had him put to death for that. They had to stone him because he was gathering sticks, mainly probably to work with, make a fire with, gathering sticks. But the Lord killed him for just gathering sticks on the Sabbath day, man. He said, "Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant." So this supposed to be even in captivity, even in cap. This don't just applies to us in our homeland. Even in captivity, the Sabbath was supposed to be observed throughout our generation, just like the fringes. Put the way to eat throughout our generation, right? He said, "For a perpetual covenant." So our children this is supposed to be something that we keep forever. But how are we going to keep it forever when we're breaking it? Then our kids going to think it's okay to break it, and they going to break it. Then their kids going to think it's okay to break it. Then they going to break it. They're not going to never know how it feels to stand up for God. They're not going to never know how it feels to stand up, for the Sabbath day. Be an advocate for the Sabbath day because they're breaking it. And how can we keep this a perpetual covenant when we have Israelites breaking it willingly, knowing it's a sin, coming up with excuses, breaking it? Verse 17, chapter 17. Verse 17. "It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. Forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. He gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of God." So this was written with the finger of God. So Most High God take this serious, right? So let me get a couple more scriptures. Let's get Jeremiah. Let's get Jeremiah 32. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 32, in verse 27. He said, "Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me?" So the Bible said, man, I'm the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? So this is how we got to think. We got to think like this in this walk, man. Especially when it comes to the Sabbath day and it comes to jobs and things like that. We have to have that mindset. Is it anything too hard for the Lord? Like, yeah, I may lose my job, but is it hard for the Lord to find me another job? Right? Is it hard? Is it hard for the Lord to? Cause we gotta truly think, man. If we truly, if you truly profaning or polluting the Sabbath days, it's like, do you think the Lord can't help you out your condition? Do you don't think the Lord can soften your boss heart to respect what you got going on? You don't think the Lord can find you another job when you don't take that job that may seem like it's paying you enough money to survive? We gotta truly have that thought. It ain't nothing too hard for the Lord, man. Yeah, I may lose this job, right? Yeah, I may lose some things. Yeah, I may lose some things. Yeah, I may get punished. Yeah, I may get persecuted for this. But is it anything too hard for the Lord that he can't get me out of this situation? This how we gotta think, man. When we get thrown at with jobs that may look good, but it's gonna cause you to sin. And I said this in my first video. It's nothing new under the sun. Satan tried the same tactics that he tried in the ancient world. It ain't nothing like what Solomon said. Ain't nothing new under the sun. The same temptation that was thrown at us back then is thrown out. Right? When Christ was getting tempted 40 days and 40 nights, and Satan came to him and promised him, look, you can have the world. You can have the cars, clothes, the money, if you bow down and worship me. So ain't nothing new how Satan do it now when it comes to these jobs and these bosses. Oh, I'll pay you this. You need this, I'll pay you this amount of money. You get paid good. But all I need you to do is come in on Saturdays. You can't get off Saturdays though. But you get paid good though. You get raises and everything. But you can't get off for those days though. I need you to work. I can't have you off. You're gonna offend the other workers. So it's the same temptation with Christ and Satan. You got to choose. Am I gonna be like, well, I understand, but I can't do it. I can't do it. Are you gonna be like that, or are you going to, okay, I understand. I can do it. I can come in, yes sir. I understand. Hey, look, I'm gonna put this movie clip in the description of this video, man. I want y'all to check the description out after I end this video. It's from the movie Courageous. If anybody haven't seen the movie Courageous, it's a good movie. It's a Christian movie. It's a scene on there when you have a dude named Javier, right? And he worked at this job, and he had to make a choice, a big choice. Same choice that a lot of our people make now in this walk. He had to make a choice. And I ain't going to say too much. I don't want to spoil it. I'm going to put the clip in the description. Y'all check it out, man. It's a good clip. And it should be motivation, for brothers and sisters, to keep their integrity when it comes to these laws. Keep your faith in the Most High God, man. So let's go ahead and I'm almost done. So you got the Constitution, right? The Civil Rights Acts on your side, man. You just got to be wise. You have to be bold while using it. You can't be scared, right? You can't go in there shaking. You have to be bold and and let them know what you truly stand on. You stand on these commandments. Ain't no loophole with me. Ain't no we can make what they be saying. We can make what they be saying. We can make we can I forgot what they be saying a lot of these times when you tell them about that, but we can make it work. Or we'll make something we'll come up with something. So basically what he's saying is well okay, can't you all right, you keep the Saturday, right? What if you just come in for a couple hours? You ain't got to stay the whole Sabbath day. Just come in a couple hours and then afterwards you can go home and rest. But that's still breaking it though. That's still breaking it. So don't even let them feel like they can loophole you and make you and make you kind of get down with how they doing it. No, you gotta tell them straight up. I can't go against God. I can't break this commandment. I don't care. You gotta have that mindset. I don't care if I lose this, cause you're doing it for God. You doing it for God, man. So if you lose something for God, who cares? He can give you that. He can give you that 10 times more. Look at Job. He can give you that more. So who cares if you lose something for God, man? That's a righteous act. That's a righteous thing to do. To lose something for God, to not take something because of God. And I'm gonna show you, man. All these excuses, man. We gotta end these excuses, because excuses got us in captivity. We feel like we can't do something. We can't be perfect. Even though Christ said, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. We feel like we can't be perfect. We feel like we can't keep the commandments. Feel like we can't keep the Sabbath day holy. Right? We feel like we can't wear our fringes in a job because we'll be a target. All type of stuff, man. We got to stop the excuses and just do what the Bible said, man. So let me get Matthew. Let me get Matthew. Matthew chapter 7. It's Matthew chapter 7 and verse 7. Ask, and it shall be given unto you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that receiveth findeth. And to him that knocketh it shall be open. So you gotta truly believe. This is red letter. This is Christ speaking. If you ask, that the Lord find you a job that you don't have to work the Sabbath day and be patient, he can give it to you. But a lot of people don't ask. They just hop on the job, even though the job told them ahead of time, you're gonna have to work on the Sabbath. They'll still do it. But even then, you have people pray these type prayers, but they don't have the patience enough to wait. Because soon as a job get thrown their way, they had them to work on the Shabbat that's paying good, they take it. But you just pray a prayer that the Lord will find you a job that you don't have to work on the Sabbath day. But that's just Satan. Satan will throw a test at you to see if you truly believe in what you prayed for. And a lot of people fold every single time. Every single time, man. And we can't be like that in this walk. We can't fold when Satan throw these tests at us. We got to stay bold, man. Let me get this scripture. We got to stand. We say we big advocates for the law. But we say that we are zealous for the law. Hey, being zealous for the law is not, willingly breaking the Sabbath day. That's not being zealous for the law. Being zealous for the law is putting your foot down, even if it may cost you something. You put your foot down and you still obey what this Bible say. That's being zealous for the law. Being zealous for the law is not making excuses on why you can't do something. I can't keep it, bro. I can't. They paying the money too good. If I don't, they gonna fire me, bro. They gonna fire me. I may lose my house, my car, so I gotta break it. I just repent afterwards. Come on, man. We can't. We know the Most High don't get down like that, man. Let me get this scripture right here. Let's get 2 Maccabees. This is what I really wanted. I don't even know if it's the Apocrypha on here. 2 Maccabees 6. 2 Maccabees. Second Maccabees chapter 6. Now this was during the time of the Greek captivity. Anybody don't know, this is where they get Hanukkah from, right? Or Feast of Dedication. And we know that Christ kept Feast of Dedication, which is so-called Hanukkah. We got that from 1st and 2nd Maccabees. This is the history on how Hanukkah came about, or Feast of Dedication, which is known as Hanukkah. It says 2nd Maccabees chapter 6. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of their God. It says, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympius, in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people. So they basically coming up with a decree and basically saying all the Jews can't keep the laws of God. Right? They can't. They're gonna have to do what we say. They can't keep their laws no more. And it was very grievous to our people. A lot of them was hurt about that. Verse 4. For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dowed with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. Straight madness, man. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. So they coming in and profaning our stuff, right? This is history. They coming in and profaning our stuff. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profane himself at all to be a Jew. So they push that. Well, you can't keep your Sabbath day. You can't keep your Sabbath days or ancient feasts no more. Or you can't say that you're a Jew. So let's see how our people responded. Did they just, okay, I understand. We ain't going to keep the Sabbath no more. Right? We'll come in and work. Right? We won't keep it holy no more. How did our forefathers respond to this and foremothers? It says, in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of sacrifices. And when the fast of Bocchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. So you had two type of Israelites. And you have two type of Israelites now. You had Israelites that was compromising, and they was like, okay, we'll do what y'all say. We won't keep the Sabbath holy no more. We won't keep the ancient feast no more. Right? We'll sacrifice unclean foods to your guys. Or you had the ones that was, we not doing that. We not doing that. We gonna die. Right? We choose to die rather than to go against our God. And you see when it comes to the Sabbath in so-called 2026, who those people, what type of spirit that, on the earth now like it was back then. You have Israelites saying, now some Israelites saying, I'm not profaning the Sabbath day, right? I don't care, I lose, whatever, but I'm keeping the Sabbath day holy. And you have some now that be like, you know what? We gotta do what we gotta do. We not in rulership and power, they over us. We gotta do what we gotta do. We don't want to lose our job. We don't want to lose nothing. So we need the money. So we gotta get down with the system. Same thing back then. Two type of Israelites now, two type of Israelites back then. Verse 8. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashion and be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. So the Israelites that didn't get down with the Greeks, they were put to death. And we not even getting put to death right now. Persecution ain't even high right now. We ain't even getting thrown to prison right now for being an Israelite. But you still have a lot of our people folding right now. Mainly when I keep using the Sabbath because that's the main reason, or that's one of the main things that people folding at the most when it comes to the Sabbath, man. It says, verse 10, for there were two women brought who had circumcised their children. Remember, they couldn't do this. We wasn't supposed to be keeping our laws, and circumcising our children was a law that we kept. But these two women, they still decided to keep the law, even though they said they couldn't do it. So what's different now? What's different now? Your boss said that you can't keep your Sabbath day. Now during this time, they was like, you can't keep your Sabbath day. What's the difference? It's the same thing. So they saying that these two women can't keep circumcision. It says, for there were two women brought who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led around about the city, the babes hanging at their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall. So these women was willing to die, or willing to allow their kids to die. They cast these babies head. They took the babies off these women's breasts. They were breastfeeding. Just imagine somebody taking the baby off their breast and casting them down off a wall for just circumcising a child because God said so. So we not willing to lose a job because God said so. But these women was willing to lose their kids because God said so. Because God said do something and they did it. Verse 11. And others that had run together in caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly. So you had our people, right? You had some people was like, you had some Israelites that was like, okay, we'll profane the Sabbath, we'll work. Right? We'll work and we'll just pray. They probably said we'll pray afterwards. We'll work and pray for grace afterwards. But these Israelites, they ran and hid to keep the Sabbath holy. They didn't break it, even though they was in captivity. They was in captivity right here. They didn't break it. They didn't compromise. They ran to keep the Sabbath day secretly. Being discovered by Philip, were all burnt together because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. Let me read that again. It said because they made a conscience. They had their mind made up. We're not breaking the Sabbath. They had a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred holy day. You see what I'm saying? This how zealous our ancestors was for the Sabbath. They wasn't breaking that, man. It's a lot right here. I don't know if I want to read all this. Let me see how I want to get and y'all can keep reading on. It gets more into Eleazar and the woman with the 7 sons. A beautiful story. They wasn't willing to compromise. Let me see if that's all I want. And verse 19 is the mindset we gotta have. It's going into the elder Eleazar. But he choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment. So we gotta have that mindset now. I want to die gloriously, right? I don't want to bring a stain to my name or my ancestors' name, because I know my ancestors probably roll over in their grave if they see me breaking the Sabbath day for a job when they stood 10 toes getting burnt alive in a cave for not breaking it. So what I look like breaking it, I'm going to honor them and stand 10 toes. I'm under the Lord and stand 10 toes. This is the type of mindset that we got to have when it comes to these commandments, man. We got to stand 10 toes. We got to stand bold for God's laws. Who gonna stand bold for God's laws? Who gonna be zealous for God's laws even when they life on the line? Right? Even when they spouse want to leave them because of this Israelite thing. They family want to disown them. Right? They job, they boss want to, treat them different. Who gonna stand bold or who gonna fold in the hour of temptation? So stand bold, man, for the Lord. It's what we called to do. We called to stand bold for the Lord. Don't compromise for nobody. Stand bold unto death, and he'll give you a crown of life. So with that, it's your brother Obadiah from the Hopeful Elect, and I want to give all honor and glory right to the Most High God in the name of his only begotten Son. We say Shalom.